Hello and welcome to the first podcast of Western Mass Sports Talk. I'm Kevin Harrington alongside here with Steve Polkowski, coming to you from the studios at Amherst Media in beautiful Amherst, Massachusetts. We'll be giving you a recap of the week in sports as well as a preview of this upcoming week, along with highlights of the UMass BC football game and coverage of other local Western Mass football in the area.
Okay, so to start us off, let's talk about UMass versus BC. I know UMass was looking to get it going against the FBS opponent. They're moving up to the MAC conference, which is in the FBS next year. But they came out, Kellen Pagel threw a pick on the first play of the game, and they really got torched out there. So what happened?
Yeah, it was overall just an ugly day for UMass and Chestnut Hill. First play of the game, quarterback threw an interception, and they were never really able to get back on track. 4 turnovers on the day, penalized 5 times for 58 yards. Each and every single one of those penalties was at a costly, inopportune time, not just like a 5 or a 10-yard penalty that didn't really come back to bite them. Every one of those 5 penalties really took a bite out of UMass. And at the same time, in terms of where their program is, they're moving into the FBS next season. They've played quality FBS opponents the past couple of years, almost beat Kansas State and Michigan, and then in a year where they're getting ready to move up, they get smacked by BC, who was 0-3 and had a couple tough losses beforehand. So I'm sure UMass is pretty upset with the way things played out against the higher competition. But they'll be looking to correct it as they head down to Norfolk, Virginia to face CAA opponent Old Dominion. UMass 2-3 in their last 5 CAA road games. Yeah,
I expect them to buckle down and use the run against Old Dominion. Jonathan Hernandez is having a great year. He's got 439 yards and 3 touchdowns. I expect them to really take the ball into his hands and try to win it that way.
Yeah, I agree. They weren't really able to continue to run the ball throughout that BC game. I mean, when you're down 21 points pretty much the whole game, you got to really, shy away from your game plan. But CAA play, Old Dominion's first year in the CAA, you can rest assured that you'll see a heavy dosage of Jonathan Hernandez down in Norfolk. Also, though, I'm interested in seeing how that defense responds after getting the hurt put on them by BC. The secondary was exploited a couple times. BC was going over the top pretty much all day. Matt Voltor of the Gazette has reported Mike Lee and Ed Saintville will be out for the Old Dominion game. However, star cornerback Antoine Thorpe is expected to return. So that'll be a big question for UMass, whether or not their secondary can step up with a guy returning from injury and 2 guys having to sit out from injury that are big timers in that secondary.
Big recovery expected from the Minutemen this week for sure.
Yeah, definitely. They need to get a W this weekend.
In other Western Mass college football, the 2-1 Springfield College Pride lost 30-22 to Alfred University. The 3-1 Winnick Golden Bears defeated Nichols College 38-23. A 1-3 Westfield State lost 42-40 to Worcester State. The 3-1 AAC Yellow Jackets beat Stonehill College 37-34, and Amherst College defeated Bates College 20-7 to open up their season.
This upcoming weekend is a very quiet one in the region in terms of college football, with 5 of the 6 teams playing on the road. All the action opens up Friday night, where Westfield State will be on the road at Bridgewater State. That's a 6:30 p.m. start time in Bridgewater. AIC heads to Waltham, Mass. for a 7 p.m. kickoff time at Bentley College. And then on Saturday, Winnick will head to Newport, Rhode Island to face Salve Regina at 2. Amherst College will be hosting Bowdoin at 1. And Springfield College will play at Kings Point at 2 o'clock to round out the Western Mass action. And we'll have recaps for you on the next edition of Western Mass Sports Talk and take an in-depth look at all our local college football teams.
Now on to our next segment, College Football Cliff Notes. A recap of the week's top games and a preview of the upcoming week. First, let's talk about Clemson versus Florida State, the ACC opener for both teams.
Yeah, Clemson really came out and continued to show that they're a serious team and a BCS bowl contender, in my opinion, as well. Very high-powered offense, continue the roll this week. They racked up 443 yards of total offense. Taj Boyd, their quarterback, had a great day, going 22 of 35 for 344 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also had no interceptions. His main target was true freshman receiver Sammy Watkins, who continues to dazzle and show his explosiveness. He caught 7 balls for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. One touchdown was on a play of 65 yards, and the other was on a play of 24 yards. So they got some weapons on offense, and they've been tested so far in the first 3 weeks, winning against Auburn and Florida State. And they'll get their test again this week. Florida State had a sloppy day on defense. In short, weren't able to really get the penalty bug off their back. Had 11 penalties for 124 yards, and against a team as good as Clemson, you can't really expect to win a game if you're going to hand over free yards to that offense.
Yeah, Taj Boyd's having a great year this year with the Clemson offense. I think he's throwing for 1,255 on the year. So let's now move on to the Big 12. We have Texas A&M and Oklahoma State. Great game. Texas A&M lost 30-29 to Oklahoma State after leading the game at 17 points at halftime.
Yeah, to me, this was the game of the week going in. Big 12 opener for both teams. Oklahoma State, like you said, down at 17 points at half on the road, and they still kept their cool. And they came out with a clear halftime adjustment to ride the back of quarterback Brandon Wheaton and put the ball in his hand in order for him to make plays. He comes out and at the end of the day threw for a school record 438 yards, which is just top-notch passing numbers. He had 2 touchdowns, and Wheaton completed 47 out of 60 passes. So they knew what they wanted to do, and that was throw the ball on top of Texas A&M's defense, and it worked out for them. Texas A&M had a good day offensively, gained 471 total yards. However, when you turn the ball over 4 times to a conference opponent and a team as good as Oklahoma State, you can't really expect much.
All right. So moving on to what most people were calling the game of the week, Alabama defeated their SEC rival Arkansas 38-14. What do you got for us on that one?
Yeah, going into the week, this was another game touted as the game of the week. 2 SEC foes, and Bama really showed that they are a serious team. Not saying that they ever completely fell off, but after winning a national championship 2 years ago, I guess they have kind of fell off some people's radar. But this Bama team's for real. This game was the game of the week for the first 25 minutes, and then Bama just completely made a 360-degree turn, turned on the Jets, putting up 21 unanswered points, starting with a pick 6 off Arkansas quarterback Tyler Wilson that went to the house for 25 yards. And then to open up the second half, Bama takes an 83-yard punt back to the house. And then a minute 30 seconds later, after an Arkansas 3-and-out, Trent Richardson, the Heisman hopeful, hits Arkansas where it hurts for a 63-yard touchdown, which pretty much sealed the deal. And boy, did Alabama look good in all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and especially special teams.
All right, so now let's talk about Week 5 in college football. What are you thinking are going to be the best matchups this weekend?
We got a full slate for this weekend. Very time friendly. Great game on at 12 o'clock. With 2 of the teams that we just talked about. Texas A&M heading to Arkansas, which is a preview of what will be an SEC battle in the coming years as Texas A&M makes the move from the Big 12 to the SEC. And then 3 o'clock or at 3:30, Auburn and South Carolina. That's always a great battle. South Carolina looking to stay undefeated, but also fix some scoring problems that they've had the past 2 weeks. And Auburn, their defense is the team that you're going to want to correct scoring upon. They're ranked 110th out of 120 teams in total defense, letting up 477 yards of offense a game. And then South Carolina will definitely ride the back of Marcus Lattimore, their star sophomore running back, who's rushed for 611 yards and 8 TDs. Up to this point. And Auburn got the win last year at home against South Carolina, 35-27. in route to their undefeated national championship season, and Auburn has won the last 6 in this series. So South Carolina will be looking to get that monkey off their back, and they'll need this victory if they have any hope of being a national title contender. On top of that, 8 o'clock is really prime time this Saturday for college football, as it usually is. Only thing different about this weekend is you'll have 2 very, very good games on at the same time, and you'll have to be making a decision as to what game gets broadcast on your television set. Bama heads down to Florida, to the Swamp, another great SEC rivalry this weekend. Bama, doesn't get any easy for them in terms of conference opponents. Crimson Tide take their 3rd-ranked rush defense, which is only letting up an astonishing, ready for this one, 45.8 yards a game. Wow. To Gainesville, Florida at the Swamp. And they'll really have to rely on that stout run defense in order to stop the Gators' high-powered rushing attack, with Jeff Demps and Chris Rainey each rushed for over 100 yards last week in a big win over Kentucky. And Bama has fared really well heading into Florida. Surprisingly, they're 7-2 in their last 9 games there. So I don't know if that home field advantage in Florida will really give them as much of an advantage as people think. Another interesting note in this game: Will Muschamp, Florida's new head coach, former assistant under Alabama head coach Nick Saban. So I mean, that's mentor versus protege type battle. So that'll be a great game. And also at 8 o'clock we have Nebraska heading to Wisconsin. Nebraska's first Big Ten game, and I mean, what better opponent than to take on Wisconsin, who's been a national powerhouse. And at the same time, this is Heisman Central right here. We got quarterback in Nebraska, Taylor Martinez, who's a Heisman hopeful. Quarterback of Wisconsin, Russell Wilson, another Heisman hopeful who's been having a dazzling season after transferring from NC State. Another big game on the slate is UCLA heads to Stanford, and what I've marked as a possible upset alert. There's always something about those Pac-12 in-state rivalries. UCLA also knocked off then number 7 Texas on the road last year, so they know how to beat a high-ranked team. Stanford ranked number 6 right now, so watch out for UCLA to pull a big upset and create some havoc in the Pac-12. Notre Dame heads to Purdue, looking to jump over the 500 mark and move to 3-2. The Irish lead the NCAA in turnovers, 15 in the first 4 games. 6 of them coming in the red zone. And surprisingly, as good as Tommy Rees has played in his starts, he's yet to play a game without a turnover. So it'll be a big big game for that Notre Dame team to try and surpass the 500 mark, along with Tommy Rees to control the football and protect it as well. So we'll see if Notre Dame can win their 4th straight in that rivalry against Purdue.
All right, so if that wasn't enough football for you, we're going to move over to the NFL with our pigskin pick'em. We're going to start with what we're calling the game of the week in the Baltimore Ravens versus New York Jets. I'm taking the Jets in this game. I know that they have an offense that's struggling, and they're going on the road against the Baltimore Ravens, which is a great defense. But really, I'm looking for the Jets defense to step up after a bad game in Oakland. They let Darren McFadden run for 171 yards, which is really uncharacteristic of a Rex Ryan defense, and I'm looking for them to really have a nice game. I think that Sean Green is looking to step up this week and finally be the back that the Jets have been calling him, and I think that the Jets are going to take it in Baltimore.
Yeah, you got this as a high-scoring affair or a low one?
I think it's going to be a grinder. It's going to be a lot of hard hitting and low score,
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree. I like the Ravens in this game. This is the Sunday night game, 8 o'clock on NBC, Sunday Night Football to be exact. And, I just don't think that the Jets right now, ranking 25th out of 32 NFL teams in rush yards a game, are going to be able to go into Baltimore and play one-dimensional football. Baltimore is not the type of team that you want to be using that game plan against. So I like the Ravens in this one, 24-13. I think the Jets continue to struggle on offense, and the Ravens' D is just too much in the end. Also, on the road after a big loss to Oakland, tough to recover going right back out on the road. So I like the Ravens.
Fair enough. All right, so next we have the Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys. The The Lions are looking good this year, starting out 3-0, and Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson have hooked up for 6 touchdowns so far in the year. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Lions are going to handle Rob Ryan's blitzing defense of the Dallas Cowboys, but I really think that with Tony Romo banged up and Miles Austin missing the game, the Lions are going to come away with a win in Dallas.
Yeah, no, those are great points. Only thing is, I really think the Lions are overrated. Everyone's already signing them up for the playoffs. I'm not so gung ho on them right away. Big stat to look at is that they lead the NFL in turnover margin, tied with the San Francisco 49ers at +6. So that's helped them win a couple football games. They've been very protective with the football, and they've also been fortunate enough to take the ball away from their opponent. However, even though they couldn't score a touchdown last Monday night, I think the Cowboys really got some things settled in-house, got a big win at home, coming off a short week, I know, but I like the Cowboys in this one, and I just think that Rob Ryan defense will make it a long day for Stafford and company. I'm taking the boys with 31-24 victory.
All right, now let's look at another great matchup this week with the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to the Houston Texans. Last week, the Steelers squeaked by with a win over the diminished Colts team, but I don't expect to see the same Steelers team this week. I'm looking for them to rebound and to come out strong against the Texans, and I really look to them to show the league that they're still a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they're really going to have to do that. A lot of talk right now. Steelers are the oldest team in the NFL, and people are asking that question. Is this the same Steelers team that has won 2 Super Bowls? I mean, they still have some of the parts and personnel in place, but is it the same team in terms of mentality and just overall skill level? I myself, I'm not sold on them. Their age is hurting them. You saw them, play a close game with a very depleted Indianapolis team last Sunday night. Although their defense did, make the plays when they had to. I just think Houston is too much. I really think the Texans are for real this year. Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson are off to great starts. And, I mean, Arian Foster, who was the centerpiece to their offense, has been banged up these first 3 games. They bring Ben Tate off the bench, and the guy's ranked 5th in the NFL in rushing, averaging just about 100 yards a game. Arian Foster expected to be 100% on Sunday, and he's a go. This Texans team is just going to be too much at home for the Steelers, although it will be a very physical game from start to finish. I like the Texans 28-21. And that's all for this edition of Western Mass Sports Talk Podcast. I want to thank you for joining us, and if you want more sports talk, you can check us out on the web at www.wmsportstalk.blogspot.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at WMass Sports Talk, and on Facebook, our fan page is Western Mass Sports Talk. For Steve Polkowski and all the rest of the folks at Amherst Media, I'm Kevin Harrington. Thanks a lot for joining us.